Hello and welcome to The Thread. This is a podcast about my knitwear design journey, all the things I happen to be knitting on the side, and whatever other nerdy tangent I may or may not feel like skipping down this week. My name is Nicole. I'm the nerdy knitwear designer behind Common Thread Fiber, so you can find me on all the socials. I'll put him in the down bar. And this week we're going to talk about a design that at this point for me feels like a very old friend. We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about a new cast on that I'm itching to get going, which is actually related to a different very old friend. So if that sounds good to you, let's jump right into it. Okay, so first of all, new viewers, welcome. If you don't know, I am a huge nerd. A nerd of all nerds. Nerdy nerd. So everything we're going to talk about in this episode is inspired by Lord of the Rings. It just is. That's who you're dealing with. So I design knitwear that is inspired by fantasy, art, and mythology in an endeavor to empower particularly, but not exclusively, nerdy knitters to embrace their inner heroes. I really want us to understand, all of us, whether you're nerdy or not, I want us all to understand that we are the heroes that we've been waiting for, and that we're all a lot stronger than we think we are. We can tackle whatever it is we set our mind to, and I fully believe that we can see that clearly in our knitting. Our knitting can prove it to us. So, some people will say, it's just knitting, Nicole, calm down. I wholeheartedly, respectfully disagree. Because if you're having one of those times where you feel like you can't do anything right and then you knit yourself a sweater, you have proof positive that you can do hard things. And if you set your mind to it, you can get it done. So with that in mind, if you watched my last episode, you'll know I'm going through it a little. It's been a stressful couple of months. We're not going to get into it. We're not going to talk about it. I'm not trying to bring that negativity into your living room. It's just one of those times. I feel like, have you ever read a book that feels like it's the what's next kind of book where it's like, they just don't get a minute to chill? It's like the opposite of cozy fantasy. It's just one thing after another. Outlander's a great example. I love the Outlander series. That is not intended as shade, but dang, Diana likes to put her people through some shit, right? So if you've read the books, you know. It's a great series, but it always feels like, what's next? They get through one thing and you're like, oh God, like you're bracing for the next event. And that's kind of what my life feels like at the moment. Not nearly as bad as Outlander, but it does feel like whoever's driving the ship of fate right now, like got up to go to the bathroom and their drunk cousin locked them in there and they took the wheel. And so it's like, hold on to your butts, we're going for a wild ride. So for example, today, Dan was in New York for a business trip. His company is located in New York. It's part of the reason we moved to Baltimore, so he could just hop on the train and be there in a couple hours, even though he works mostly remotely. They are starting to expect him to show up a little bit, make sure he is indeed a real boy, and went to New York and got a text this morning that his boss, who he spent 3 straight days in very close quarters with, just tested positive for COVID. So Dan's isolated upstairs. Basically, he's grounded. So he's up there. I just cleaned the entire house, and I'm sitting down and chat with you all because I could use some positivity in my life, and chatting with you all always makes me feel better. So it just very much feels like one thing after another at the moment. Like we were supposed to go to the beach this weekend. And I'm sorry, I care too much about my fellow humans to even bring the slight possibility that one of us has COVID into a public space. I'm not going to do that. So we are going to reschedule our trip, and my vacation will wait. That's where we're at. So your girl could use some comfort. So one of my favorite designs that I ever created is called the Chiefest Calamity Hat. So I'll pop up a picture, but I also have it right next to me. So this is the hat. This is the OG design, if you will. And being as though my hair is not exactly cooperating today, I'm not going to feel some type of way if I put it on. So that's what we're going to do. So here it is. You can kind of get an idea. I kind of wish that I had knit this one with a little bit more of a brim so I could turn it up a little bit. Which you can, but then it creates an itty bitty brim. Not to sound like Genie from Aladdin, but itty bitty living space. And oh no, my shame. My unwoven ends, they're on display. Wait. Oh, be nice, self. That is woven in. It's just sticking out. Can you take me seriously if I leave that there and it's just, probably not. These are not the joints you are looking for. You did not see those ends. Okay. So we'll just have curtain bangs. It's fine. So yes, this is the original design. And this design, if you are new here, you probably have not seen this episode yet. If you are returning, you probably have seen this episode. Y'all, I can't take myself seriously with my fringe looking like that. This has got to go. I'm sorry. I keep looking at my computer where I can see myself and I'm like, curtains? Okay. Sorry. Got on a hair tangent. Never let me go on a hair tangent because I won't shut up. Which is honestly not a new affliction for me. But anyway, the hat. Let's talk about the hat. So this design, if you are new here, you probably won't know this. If you are a returning viewer, I'm sorry if this is repeating myself and you're sick of hearing it, but this design showed up during probably one of the most stressful times in my life. I'm going to give a trigger warning. I'm going to talk about sudden illness and almost losing a parent. So, I'm just going to give you a minute. I'll put a timestamp here when I'm done talking about that. Okay? So this design popped into my life right after my mother had a bilateral pulmonary embolism and it almost killed her. So I just woke up one morning, got a phone call, and basically was told that my best friend almost died and I needed to come home. So obviously I got in the car and was there within 24 hours. And it shook me, y'all. It shook me. It really, really shook me. I think about it and I tear up, to be honest, because my mom is my best friend. So I was working on I Am No Man at the time, my I Am No Man sweater pattern, which was also acting up. I think I did most of the ripping out for I Am No Man. Again, if you're new here, you might not know. I believe I knit that design at least six times, and then I blacked out. It may have been more like 7. Some of those times it was because I changed my mind with design elements. Other times it was just because I effed it up. So this was the time where I did most of that ripping out. I had finished it and got all excited and I put it on and I looked at it and went, I knit a yurt. It's a yurt. Like, and I'm not saying that like it's not the size of it. It's just that I did the increases in a way that it was a circle. So it looked like I was wearing a hoop skirt, but make it a sweater. It wasn't good. So I had to rip it out. I finished it and ended up ripping out the whole thing because a whole lot had gone wrong. That was happening during this time. And I just needed play. I needed color. I needed play. And I don't think it was a coincidence that Smaug was the inspiration that ended up making that design that I needed most at that time. I don't know if I needed to convince myself that I could defeat a dragon. I don't know if I needed to convince myself that I have scales of my own and I was strong and I could survive anything. I don't know if it was a mix of both, but this came when I needed it most. So it is inspired by Smaug's eyes and his scales. And if you don't know, Smaug is the dragon from The Hobbit, who Bilbo calls the chiefest and greatest of all calamities. So the hat is called the Chiefest Calamity, not the chiefest and greatest, because for you to be the chiefest and greatest of calamities, you gotta be a sweater. And if you're not, we will have a sweater. So I'm working on it. But this is the original design. So just a little bit about this yarn. This is Blackbird Sycamore yarn. 10 out of 10 recommend. I wanted the inspiration to really sing through. I wanted it to be Smaug. And so I wanted to go with fire and something metallic, something that makes you think of the silver and gold and the mithril that Smaug stole from the dwarves. And so that's why I went with these colors. And the great thing about Stephanie's yarn is that this is superwash, but it is toothy. And so when I was designing this, I mean, I had to redo the crown a couple times. I knit this hat in 2 days, so it flew. But when I had to redo the crown a couple times, I know there's a crease in the middle. It was sitting folded when we moved, so just ignore the crease as I pointed out. Anyway, so I took it off the needles, and when I was ripping out the crown a couple of times, I never had to worry that the stitches were going to go flying, which is something sometimes you do have to be concerned about when you're working with a more slippery yarn, which superwash can be slippery. And again, if you're new here, you're going to hear me say some things that are not like rah rah hooray superwash. It's not meant as shade towards anyone who dyes it, who knits with it. It's just I've been burned by the superwash growth factor a lot. So I will not generally knit with it in garments. but I will knit with it in accessories. And so this was perfect because it is superwash, which means I can wash it, which in a hat, that's exactly what I want. I want to be able to wash it. But it was super toothy, and so it made for really good color work. So I'll pop the colorway names here because I think it's Campfire and Gray Skull, but I want to be sure. I don't want to be accidentally lying to you. So this is the original design. This is the hat. Now, on my first trip to Baltimore, before we moved here, I went to Neighborhood Fiber Company, which is a local yarn dyer to me, and they dye incredible yarn and they have incredible values. You should go check them out. And so I went to Neighborhood Fiber Co. and I picked up some yarn to knit a second one, and I never ended up doing it. I got distracted by other things. I think I'm gonna cast one on. I think I'm gonna cast another one of these babies on. And so this is the yarn that I got. This is their Studio DK. This guy is Oliver, and this, I believe, is Logan Circle. Let me make sure. Most recently, I moved from Florida, but before I moved from Florida, okay, my last place that I really called home, that I really considered home, that is still home to me and will probably always be home to me no matter where I live, is Chicago. And so I want to make sure Logan Circle is right, because immediately in my brain I'm like, you mean Logan Square, girl? Like, no, wrong city. Wrong city. Logan Circle. So, Logan Circle, Oliver in their Studio DK. So, Neighborhood Fiber Company, also, their yarn is not technically superwash, but it goes through a different process that makes it machine washable. I'm not even going to attempt to explain what that process is because I do not know nearly enough to speak as though I have any authority on the subject. And I fully believe that if you don't know enough, then shush. So that's what I'm going to do. But I am going to tell you, it is not superwash, but it goes through a different process, so it's machine washable. And you can check out their website. They may have information about it there. But this is going to become my next Chiefest Calamity Hat, and I'm really excited about it. I wanted a forest dragon, so I have some color combinations that are reliably me. Maroon and gold, green and gold, teal and mustard. I mean, these are some of my favorite combinations, and this was just classic Nicole. And I'm really excited about it. I wanted a forest dragon, and that's what I love about Chiefest Calamity. You can really think about it about like what kind of dragon do you want to channel, right? So for my original, I wanted Smaug. For this one, I want a little bit more like the Merlin dragon, if you know what I mean. Like if you know, you know. So that's what I wanted there. But that's not the whip that I mentioned at the beginning. This whip I've been working monogamously on. The color work is the very old friend, but this is a new design I'm working on with Neighborhood Fiber Company, and it is a Chiefest Calamity Cowl. So here it is. Oh, it's looking so good. Yep. So we're almost there. So if it looks like this section is longer than this one, you would be right. And there's a reason. It's because we are going to fade back the other direction now. So then when you graft the ends together, this won't look so much like comically larger than the other side, basically. So this is Neighborhood Fiber Co.'s Rustic Fingering. I gotta tell you, like, respectfully, it's false advertising. This is not rustic. This is buttered frickin' kittens. It is not superwash, but it is a single ply, which makes it really, really soft. And it's been delightful to knit color work out of. And so I cast this design on, so it will be available for Rhinebeck, and I'm super excited about it. I've really enjoyed knitting it. It has gone through another iteration. Originally, my intention was to make this a similar size to that 70s Hobbit, which if you saw my last episode, you would have seen this, but in case you didn't, here's that 70s Hobbit. This is a design that is coming, I said originally July, but now I'm wavering on that. I'm kind of, maybe we'll do September. I don't know. It's coming soon. It's coming in the next couple of months. It's all tested, it's written, it's formatted, it's ready to go. But we'll see. We have to make some decisions. But this is that 70s Hobbit. So you can see it's big. It's tall, but it's not like really long. So the intention here was either that you could do something like this, right? Almost wear it like a snood. Not technically a snood, but pretty freaking close. Because I mean, even like, I mean, it's still pretty far down in the back. So you could do something like this, or you could wear it a little higher up to your face, or you could get really warm with it and roll it down to whatever height you want it. I was thinking about my winters in Chicago when I designed this and how I would just want to be like, no one's home, don't talk to me, because I would be cold. So originally I was thinking the Chiefest Calamity Cowl would be similar to that. But here's the thing. This is knit out of Whole Super Soft. And this is a lovely, honest to God rustic yarn. I wouldn't call it scratchy, but it is rustic, which means that this stands up on its own. It's not going to flop over. Neighborhood Fiber Co's rustic fingering is much softer, and so it's not going to stand up like that. So I went ahead and changed it. Instead of having a circumference that's closer to, well, I don't even know what that circumference is, 32 maybe? Not circumference, a height. It's not quite, this is not quite half of that. This height is about 9 inches. So you can still get really close to the face and it's still going to keep you warm, but it's not going to stand up on its own. So I ripped out the original and I went with that instead. So I'm knitting this out of Neighborhood Fiber Co's rustic fingering. So 1 skein of their rustic fingering, which is this guy, and then 1 of their ombre mini kits. I am not even going to attempt to hold up all 5 of the colors from the ombre mini kit. I will just drop it in the down bar if you want to go see it. You can see the colors here. It's a dark red going into a lighter red, going into an orange, going into a yellow, orange, going into a yellow, yellow, and then back, right? So you get the idea. And like I said, I'll drop a link to this exact kit. They have a bunch of different colors. So Neighborhood Fiber Co's ombre mini kits are 60 gram skeins. This is big mini, it's a big mini. Put it that way. So I have 2 different sizes that I designed for this. One which is a, you know what, off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact numbers. I'll put them here. But one which is meant to just do 1 loop and be close to your face, and the other which is twice the size. That one I do know is close to 63 inches long, and the point is that you can kind of wrap it around. So one will use barely half the kit, so you'll have enough to do another one if you want, or you could use it for a different project. The other is going to use a lot more of the kit. If you don't want to use an ombre kit, I feel you, I totally get it. In the pattern, you will get all the information you need to make an informed substitution choice. So I'm not just going to give you, here's the ombre kit, figure it out yourself. I tell you the yardage, and then I tell you exactly if you want to do a fade, but you want to use maybe yarn you have or a different yarn, I tell you exactly how many yards and or how much each mini is. And that way you can make an informed substitution choice. So the pattern will have it all in it. But for me, I am using Neighborhood Fiber Co's ombre mini kits and their rustic fingering. And it's lovely. It's a joy to work with. And I've really been enjoying it. And I've needed this color work in my life. It's been great to play with color and do it in a way where it feels low stakes because I know the color work so well. And so I can play with the fade and I can have fun with color. I mean, obviously this time I wanted a fire dragon. We just went straight on Fire Drake from the North, which by the way is exactly what Smaug is. So we just went full on Smaug with this one. I am fire. I am death, basically. And I've been really enjoying it. And I also love knowing I now live somewhere that it's cold enough that I can actually wear this, it's lovely. Or it will get cold enough. Not that I believe it at the moment. It's just as hot as Satan's living room, like it was in Florida at the moment. But I feel like that's most of us right now. But yeah, so this is the design I've been working on. The Chiefest Calamity Cowl, which will be out by Rhinebeck, which is October 19th. I'll probably release it a few days before that, just so it's out. And yeah. So if you're at Rhinebeck, you can go see the sample. It will be in Neighborhood Fiber Co's booth. There is both this sample, and I have the longer sample. One of my dear friends, Zara, knit the long sample for me. She is a beast, guys. She knit that 63 inches in like a month, maybe. And that was because she was working on other stuff too. I mean, major kudos, because the long one, again, 63-inch long. It was intense, and she just went. And she did a great job. So I'll take a picture of it when I have it, and I'll share that longer one with you. The fade pattern is a little bit different, which is why 2 samples is good, so you can see what each fade looks like. But yeah, so this is the whip I've been working on pretty monogamously, and I've been really enjoying it. So it's the Chiefest Calamity Cowl, which will be coming out in October. So I also mentioned that I have a new cast on coming that I'm really excited, which is related to a different, very old friend of mine. And that is the Fear No Darkness cardigan. It is related to my I Am No Man pullover, which is a very old friend indeed, who we have gone through our paces together, but my I Am No Man pullover, it is published, it is available in Ravelry. It was my first garment design, and for those who have been here for a while, you already know, like to quote Big Frida, you already know. And so I finished my I Am No Man pullover, and I knew I really need this to be a cardigan real bad. So I went rogue, and I just did it, which is my way. I do tend to do that. We call it Big Leo or Gimli energy. Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for? And we just run right in. Gimli is my homeboy, if nobody knows. If anyone doesn't know, I may be hot for Thorin, but I love Gimli. And so I always call it Gimli energy or Big Leo energy. I am a Leo. Season's coming up. I'm ready. Anyway, so the Fear No Darkness cardigan, I already knit one sample. I'll pop a picture into me wearing it, but I'll also show it here. So this is the current sample, and oh god, you're gonna see more unwoven in ends. Do not perceive them! But here's the cardigan. Yeah, so you get the cables going around the neck, just like I Am No Man, down the arms, down the front. They go down the sides, and you have a split hem and overall seed stitch. I love it. There is no other way for me to put it. Yeah. I mean, I love I Am No Man, but my god, I love this cardigan. And I was trying to decide what I wanted to name it. I jokingly was calling it I Am No Pullover, but I figured if you don't know, then like, I don't know, guys. I can't continue naming designs based on like inside jokes between us squirrels. I can't keep doing that. Hat for Thorin was one. It was originally Hot for Thorin, which is like what I just said. I may be hot for Thorin, but yeah. That 70s Hobbit is another, which I have to decide if I even want to name that 70s Hobbit. We got to think about it. And then I just called this I Am No Pullover, and I'm like, Nicole, you gotta stop clowning. Like, you gotta stop, man. And so I was trying to think about, what at the time did I really need? And I finished this right before we came to Baltimore the second time, which is when we went rogue and bought this townhome. We were not expecting to do it, but we were here and we saw this townhome and we're like, screw it, let's go. And Gimli'd the crap out of it. So, so I knew I really needed. I needed to feel like the Rohirrim in that moment where they charge onto Pelennor Fields, and Theoden gives that speech, forth and fear no darkness. And so this is the Fear No Darkness cardigan, and it means a lot to me. And like I said, I'm going through it. I need some more Rohan in my life. Rohan makes me feel strong. The dwarves make me feel like I'm at home. I am a dwarf, guys. Like there's no way around it. I am short. I am stocky. I am slow to trust, but I have a great sense of humor. So definitely a dwarf. That's why I love Gimli so much. I'm like, oh, my spirit dwarf. But anyway, the Rohirrim though makes me feel strong. Rohan makes me feel strong. And so I need more Rohan in my life. So I'm going to cast on another Fear No Darkness so that I can be working on it while I write the pattern. There are actual pragmatic reasons to do this. So I'll just pop in a picture I may take some video of me wearing it, I may not. But when I designed this, I knew I wanted this to be an open front cardigan. There is no button band. There are no buttons. There's a band, obviously it's the cables, but there's no buttons. However, because I gimlied my way into it, I think there were some construction things I didn't take into account. And so we need to add a little bit more like around the band itself so that the bands overlap. On top of that, much like I Am No Man, there is A-line shaping in this. Optional. If you don't like A-line shaping, you don't have to put it in. If you'd rather do a different kind of shaping, like waist shaping, more power to you. But I put A-line shaping in it because I'm not gonna lie, I tend to design for my body type, which is somewhere between an apple and a pear. It's like an apple and a pear had a baby. That's my body type. So I personally like A-line shaping. So, but again, you can always leave it out. Do not perceive the ends. I know, I could just pause and weave it in, right? No? Anyway, so okay. I kind of said at the beginning, like towards the earlier part of this episode, that when I put on I Am No Man, it was like I was wearing a yurt and a hoop skirt, but make it a sweater because it was very round. It was too big, and it seriously was round. And so we took the increases, the A-line increases we did in I Am No Man, we took them out of the back and only did them in the front. Okay, well, we did that for Fear No Darkness, and I think it backfired. So the back now is kind of pulling. And since this is a cardigan and not a pullover, it's yanking the front backwards a bit. So we're going to screw around with the increases. We have to add some more room anyway so that it can comfortably overlap. So, it can be worn comfortably. So there are some fit reasons to redo this before writing the pattern itself anyway. And this is just my first one. It's my prototype and I love it. And that's okay. It's okay when that happens. So I will be re-knitting this. If anybody doesn't know, my husband does my grading for me. He is a math genius, and so he agreed. And anyway, so he already went and fixed some of the stuff. We changed the increase rate in the neck, so it will kind of come together a little bit more. It will overlap more easily, and we'll screw around with the increases. I don't know if you can hear my cat, but he's currently climbing up my back. There he is. Hi, buddy. Want to come say hi? No, you're just going to be a little land shark, right? This is what he does. What doing, you? Anyway, so I'm going to be reknitting it with those new numbers, and I'll be sharing the process here. I may even do a project vlog with that. So that's what I'm going to be casting on, and I'm very excited. So once I finish the cowl, which I am planning on doing in the next couple of days, because I'm flying through this cowl, guys. I get through probably about 2 chart repeats a day, because I don't remember if I said this. It's 8 stitches across, 9 rows up. So it's very potato chippy. There are no floats to catch, nothing. And it's the exact same color work on my hat, and that's what made the hat so good. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to cast on another Fear No Darkness cardigan. I'm going to do it in a wildly different color. So this yarn is... Did y'all really think that we could get through an episode without me mentioning baby cat yarn? No. So this is baby cat yarn. This is her organic DK in the colorway Austin. So Austin is from the Heroic palette, which came out alongside I Am No Man. So I Am No Man is the leather colorway. Austin is in that palette with it. And when Britta was developing this palette alongside the I Am No Man pattern, and I saw this color, I knew I need that. So I knew I wanted to knit the cardigan version out of that colorway. So it's so squishy. I love wearing it. When I do wear it, I tend to use a penannular pin to keep it closed. And so that's why like the original kind of fit things in it don't bother me. And that's why this sample, it's 100% wearable. I'm not ripping it out. I love it. I'm good with it. But I know things need to be fixed before that becomes a published pattern. So that original one is Baby Cat Yarns out of the Austin colorway. And if anybody would like to know a good substitution yarn for that is much more cost effective, Hobie. Hobie's, I believe it's their friend's wool. Oh my god, it's a wild Zach! He's never on camera. Oh my god, not to Pokemon Go you, but like a wild Zach has been spotted. Buddy. Okay, he's got a little bed under there, so he's probably gonna go curl back up. But yeah, Hobie's DK weight, I think it's their friend's wool. It would be a great substitution for that yarn. So if you wanted to knit I Am No Man, or you would like to test knit or knit Fear No Darkness when it comes out, yes, I'm knitting. This one is out of baby cat yarn, but if you wanted a substitution, that would be a great one. So I'm going to be knitting this out of a different yarn for my next version, and it is BC Garn's Similla Melange, I believe is what it's called. I got it from Kelborn Woolens, but I have since learned this is not a Kelborn Woolens yarn, I don't think. BC Garn is different, right? So this is their Similla Melange, which is a 100% GOT certified organic wool. And this is their, I believe this is chocolate. Let's make sure. Here's the tag, if anybody would like to see it. And I do, like I said, I think this is their chocolate colorway. Really? You're not going to tell me? It's not going to tell me, but I'm fairly certain it's chocolate. So if it is not, I will correct myself here. But yes, I'm going to knit this out of this yarn. I do have a swatch already, but only the fairies know where I put it. And so I had a plan. And it was to knit a second I Am No Man out of this. So I was gonna I Am No Man, but make it stockinette. So take the entire sweater, but instead of knitting it with overall seed stitch, knit it in stockinette. And this would have kind of done that, but my seed stitch gauge and my stockinette gauge are wildly different. I need to go down multiple needle sizes to get the same gauge in stockinette that I get in seed stitch. So I decided instead, let's just use this for Fear No Darkness. And so that's what we're going to do. But yeah, so this is Similla Melange, I think I'm saying that right, from BC Garn in their chocolate colorway. And this is going to become a second Fear No Darkness cardigan. And I think I did just decide I'm going to project vlog that from start to finish. So that's what I've been working on, folks. I have a couple other things we talked about in a previous episode, but the Chiefest Calamity has really been taking up all of my brain space and my heart space at the moment. And planning for a new Fear No Darkness has been taking up a lot of that space too, and I'm really excited about that. That being said, I am still working on my minimalist cardigan, and I kind of decided as part of sweater school, so if anybody doesn't know, I'm taking myself to sweater school. It's a self-curated course, and by that I mean I'm reading books and I'm taking online classes to better understand the set and sleeve construction first, and then we'll work on a saddle shoulder construction, and if I feel like it, a drop shoulder. But we're starting with a set and sleeve. And my goal is to self-draft my own size, do the math basically myself. I'll probably get some help from Dan, but I'd like to see how much of it I can do on my own, and self-draft a set and sleeve pattern just so I can get to know the construction before I try to dive into a design that is a set and sleeve design. And before I even started that, I thought, why don't you actually knit one first? Instead of just being like, I know, I will design a construction I have never even knit. Girl. So, trust me, it occurred to me. I was like, I'll do that. No, you won't. No, you won't. Knit one first. For the love of God, just take several seats, Nicole, and knit a pattern that already exists. So that's what I did. And it was the Minimalist Cardigan. I talked about it at length in my last episode. I've been working on that, but I decided, you know what, we're going to do a project vlog with that too. So it's not going to be from start to finish because I already knit the back piece and one of the front pieces, but I will start filming with the second front piece and the sleeves, and we'll go through the seaming process, which is, from what I hear, what makes a set and sleeve tick, basically. So I thought we will do that we'll start with that for sweater school before we start getting into the math of my own self-drafted pattern and some of the other stuff. We'll start with that. We'll do a project vlog with that, and I'll do a project vlog with Fear No Darkness. So we'll have those videos coming up. So we have that to look forward to. But yeah, that's what I've been working on. What about y'all? What are you working on? How's your summer going? Are you knitting sweaters right now? Like, are you like me and you're just hardcore sweaters in the evening? I'm thinking of the pizza bagels. Pizza in the morning, pizza in the evening, pizza at supper time. With pizza on a bagel. You can eat pizza anytime. Sorry, I had to do the whole thing. I'm not sorry. I don't know why I'm apologizing. I'm thinking of that, but with sweaters. Sweaters in the winter, sweaters in the spring, sweater in the summertime. When you're an obsessive enough knitter, you can knit sweaters anytime. So that's me. Are you like me? Or are you knitting tank tops? Are you knitting with cotton? Or are you just staring longingly at your basket of wool saying, not today, Satan. I'll see you in October. Let me know. What are you working on? Are you a seasonal knitter? Are you a I do what I want knitter? I want to know. I love it. I always love conversations like that. Yeah, and I think I'm going to stop there. Now that I've literally sung a pizza bagel commercial at you, I think that's a good time to stop. I hope you're having a great weekend. I hope you continue to have a great weekend. And I will see you not next week, but the week after that. Bye!